Oh no!
Tiana froze. She stared at her phone as if looking at it long enough could somehow undo what she had just done. At the top of the conversation was the name she never wanted to see there. Kang Tae-hyun, her boss, her CEO, the man she had just spent 15 minutes complaining about.
No, no, no!
Her fingers trembled as she scrolled through the message. She had written everything. I honestly don't understand this man. Who gives their secretary a stack of documents on Friday evening and expects everything finished before 8 Saturday morning? He schedules meetings like there are 48 hours in a day. Sometimes I think Mr. Kang forgets his secretary is a human being. Then came the final line. At this point, I might as well move into the office because apparently going home is no longer part of my job. Tiana covered her face. She had meant to send the message to Yuna, her best friend, the one person she could complain to without worrying about being judged. Instead, she had sent it to the one person she had been complaining about. Her eyes moved to the screen. Delivered. Her heart dropped. Then the status changed. Read. Oh my God. She picked up the phone again. Maybe she could delete it. Too late. Maybe she could explain. But what could she say? That she was tired? That she didn't mean it? She had meant some of it. That was the problem. Her phone vibrated. Tiana nearly dropped it. A new message appeared. She opened it. You seem to have a lot to say about me. We'll discuss every word on Monday. Tiana stared at the screen. Her mouth fell open. Every word. She slowly lowered the phone. I am finished. Earlier that Friday, Tiana had already spent the entire day working for Tae-hyun. As his personal secretary, she managed his schedule, prepared reports, arranged meetings, handled calls, coordinated executives, and made sure everything he needed was ready before he asked for it. Tae-hyun was known throughout Kangseong Group for being cold and demanding. He rarely smiled. He rarely made small talk. And Friday meant nothing to him. If work needed to be done, it had to be done. That afternoon, just as Tiana was preparing to leave, Tae-hyun called her into his office. He handed her a thick folder.
This document needs to be completed before 8 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Tiana stared at him.
Tomorrow morning, sir?
Yes.
She wanted to remind him that tomorrow was Saturday. Instead, she nodded. Yes, sir. She took the documents home. Hours later, her eyes were burning. Her laptop remained open. Her coffee had gone cold. That was when she reached for her phone. She needed to vent. She typed everything she had been holding inside and sent it without checking the recipient. Then she realized. Now she had 2 days to survive before Monday. Across Seoul, Tae-hyun sat alone in his apartment. He read her message again. His expression remained unreadable. He wasn't furious. He wasn't amused. He simply stared at the words. Then he placed his phone down and returned to his laptop. That was what Kang Tae-hyun always did. When something bothered him, he worked. When something hurt him, he worked. When something frightened him, he worked. He didn't even realize how deeply the habit had become part of him. Not yet. Monday morning came too quickly. Tiana had barely slept. She had spent the entire weekend imagining every possible outcome. Maybe he would fire her. Maybe he would humiliate her. Maybe he would tell her to resign. At 9:20 a.m., the desk phone rang. Ms. Tiana? Yes. Mr. Kang wants you in his office. Her fingers tightened around the pen. Now? Yes. The walk to his office felt endless. She knocked. Come in. Tiana entered. Tae-hyun sat behind his desk in his usual dark suit. His expression was cold. Nothing about him suggested that he had spent the weekend reading her complaint. You wanted to see me, sir? Yes. He gestured toward the chair. Sit. Tiana sat carefully. Tae-hyun looked at her. Your message. Her face became hot. Sir, I'm sorry. He said nothing. I didn't mean for you to receive it. I wanted to send it to my friend. I see. I was exhausted. I was frustrated. I was only venting to her. You didn't mean it? Tiana hesitated. I didn't mean for you to read it. His eyes remained on her. So you meant what you wrote. She swallowed. I was tired, sir. That isn't an answer. Silence. Then he said, You seem to have a lot to say about me. Tiana's heart jumped. You wanted to be honest with your friend. Be honest with me. She took a breath. Since you said I should be real about it. She looked directly at him. Then I meant it, sir. For the first time, something flickered across his face. Not anger. Surprise. You think I give you too much work? Yes. You think I'm unreasonable? Sometimes. You think I don't care if you're exhausted? Tiana hesitated. I think you care about the work more than you notice the people doing it. His expression became still. She continued carefully. You work before everyone arrives. You work after everyone leaves. You send instructions late at night. Sometimes I don't think you even realize how much you're asking from people. He listened. I don't think you're trying to be cruel, she added. That caught his attention. I think you've become so used to living this way that you don't notice what it looks like from the other side. Silence filled the room. Taehyun finally closed the folder on his desk. That is enough. Tiana stood. Yes, sir. She reached the door. Tiana. She turned. Finish today's schedule. Yes, sir. She left. Taehyun remained seated. He picked up his pen. Then stopped. Her words returned. You care about the work more than you notice the people doing it. He frowned. He didn't agree. At least not completely. But he couldn't stop thinking about it. Later that evening, he returned home. He opened his laptop. Then remembered Tiana's message. He opened his phone. Read it again. Then the conversation from Monday returned. Her nervous expression. The way she had almost taken everything back. And then, since you said I should be real about it. Then I meant it, sir. He locked his phone. He tried to work. But the thought remained. Perhaps there was something he wasn't seeing. Not only about Tiana. About himself. Tuesday passed without Taehyun changing his behavior. He was still cold. Still demanding. Still focused. But he had started noticing things he normally ignored. At 11:30 a.m., he passed a conference room. 3 employees were eating lunch while working. One hadn't touched his food. Taehyun stopped. For a moment, Tiana's words returned. You care about the work more than you notice the people doing it. He continued walking. Later, Tiana brought him a report. How many things are you handling today? He asked. She looked surprised. I'm sorry. How many? She checked her notebook. 6, sir. He stared at her. 6. Yes. He said nothing. Then he pointed at the schedule. Finish the urgent ones first. The rest can wait until tomorrow. Tiana blinked. Yes, sir. She walked away. Taehyun watched her go. He didn't understand why he had said that. That evening, he remained in his office. The city lights reflected against the windows. His thoughts drifted toward his mother. She had been sick for months before she died. Taehyun had watched her become weaker. He had been terrified. He couldn't control her illness. He couldn't save her. So he worked. He studied. He prepared. He convinced himself that if he became successful enough, he would never again feel helpless. Then his mother died. But the fear stayed. Afterward, his father remarried. His younger half-brother, Sungmin, was 30. Taehyun was 32. Sungmin had been born out of wedlock, and his mother was still alive. The family never openly announced a battle for Kangseong Group. They didn't need to. The signs were everywhere. Some executives naturally stood behind Taehyun. Others quietly supported Sungmin. A board member who praised Taehyun in the morning might be seen having dinner with Sungmin that evening. Information occasionally reached Sungmin before Taehyun had officially presented it. Taehyun noticed. He said nothing. He simply worked harder. Because failure meant more than losing a position. It meant losing the proof that all those years of sacrifice had been worth something. And somewhere along the way, work had stopped being ambition. It had become fear. Wednesday morning, he called Tiana into his office again. She entered cautiously. You wanted to see me, sir? Yes, she said. Taehyun looked at her. There was no report between them this time. I've thought about what you said. Tiana looked surprised. For 2 days. Yes. He paused. Do you really think I'm like that? Like what? The man you described. Tiana hesitated. Yes. He looked away. Why? Because you never stop. That is my responsibility. Maybe. She took a breath. But sometimes people work constantly because they are afraid of what happens if they stop. His eyes returned to hers. You think I'm afraid? I think you might be. He said nothing. Tiana softened. I could be wrong. You could. She smiled. You always say that. Because you could be. She laughed. The tension disappeared. For the first time, Taehyun smiled. It was brief, almost invisible, but Tiana saw it. You smiled. His face immediately returned to its usual expression. I did not. You did. Finish your work. She laughed as she left. Taehyun watched the door close. Then he realized something strange. He wanted her to come back. The weeks that followed changed them slowly. Tiana was still his secretary. She still managed his impossible schedule. Taehyun still expected excellence. But something had softened between them. Not enough for either of them to name. Just enough to make their days different. Sometimes Tiana would place coffee on his desk without asking. Sometimes Taehyun would look at the clock and tell her, "Go home." She would stare at him. "Are you feeling well?" "I am perfectly fine." "You're telling me to go home?" "Yes." "Who are you?" He would give her a cold look. She would laugh. And he would secretly enjoy it. One Friday evening, Tiana found him working alone. "Have you eaten?" "I'll eat later. It is 9. "I know." She walked over and closed his laptop. Taehyun slowly looked up. "What are you doing?" "Saving your life." "Open it." "No." "Tiana, you're going to eat." "I have work." "You always have work." He stared at her. She folded her arms. "Come with me." "Where?" "To eat." "I can eat here." "No." "Tiana." "Sir." He sighed. "You are very stubborn. And you're coming." To her surprise, he stood. They went to a small restaurant nearby. Nothing fancy. Nothing romantic. Just food and conversation. But Taehyun found himself laughing. Actually laughing. Tiana stared at him. "You smiled." "I always smile." She nearly choked. "You absolutely do not." He shook his head. She laughed. He watched her. And something inside him shifted. He liked seeing her happy. He liked hearing her laugh. He liked the way she challenged him without being afraid. He liked having someone beside him who didn't care about his title. That night he lay awake. "No." He shook his head. "This is because we're getting close." That was all. She was his secretary. They worked together every day. Of course he had become comfortable around her. He would focus on work. He would stop thinking about it. But the next morning, he caught himself wondering whether she had eaten breakfast. He sighed. Meanwhile, Tiana had the same problem. Every 2 weeks, she met Yuna at their usual cafe. That afternoon, Tiana finally admitted it. "I think I'm developing feelings for my boss." Yuna stared at her. "Your cold CEO?" "Yes." "You're in love with him." "No." "You are." Tiana shook her head. "He's my boss. And it can't happen." Yuna smiled. "You don't control feelings." Tiana looked down. She remembered his laugh. The way he had looked at her across the restaurant. She smiled without realizing it. Yuna pointed. "There." "What?" "That smile." Tiana touched her face. Yuna laughed. "You like him?" Tiana sighed. "Maybe." But she refused to take it seriously. It was impossible. At least that's what she told herself. Taehyun was telling himself the same thing. The situation inside Kangseong Group became more complicated. Sungmin was gaining support. Several executives quietly passed information to him. Then Taehyun discovered something more serious. A confidential proposal had reached Sungmin before the board meeting. Tiana noticed something was wrong when she saw a version of the proposal in Sungmin's hands. "That isn't the final version," she said. Taehyun looked at the document. "What do you mean?" "I prepared the final copy for you. This version contains information that was supposed to remain confidential." Taehyun's expression hardened. "Are you sure?" "Yes." He took the document from her and examined it carefully. Someone had given Sungmin information he wasn't supposed to have. Tiana helped Taehyun check the document history and the people who had been given access to the confidential files. Only a handful of executives had seen the material. One name appeared more than once. Director Choi. Taehyun didn't confront him immediately. He watched. At the next meeting, Director Choi questioned nearly every decision Taehyun made. Sungmin remained silent, but Taehyun understood. There were people inside his company who were waiting for him to fail. This time, however, he didn't panic. He remembered Tiana. He gathered the evidence, strengthened the proposal, and prepared properly. One evening, after they had become much closer, Taehyun finally told her about his mother. He told her how frightened he had been while she was sick, how helpless he had felt, how he had buried himself in work because work gave him something he could control. Then she died. But he never stopped, because somewhere inside him he believed that if he stopped, he would fall behind. And if he fell behind, he would lose. Tiana listened quietly. Then she told him about her own family. She had grown up watching someone she loved sacrifice everything for the family. That person believed that resting meant being irresponsible. They kept working even when they were exhausted. They never asked for help. And Tiana had once admired it, until she realized how much of their life had disappeared while they were busy surviving. I used to think being strong meant carrying everything alone, she told him. Taehyun looked at her. But I learned something. What? Resting doesn't mean failing. He remained silent. Stopping for a moment doesn't erase everything you've built. Tiana smiled gently. You keep thinking that if you stop, you'll lose. He looked down. But you've already survived the thing you were most afraid of. His eyes lifted. You lost your mother. Taehyun became still. And you're still here. Her voice softened. You don't have to keep punishing yourself for surviving. For a long moment, neither spoke. Finally, Taehyun said, I don't know how to stop. Then don't stop everything. She pointed toward his laptop. Start by closing that before midnight. He laughed. You're giving me orders now? Someone has to. He smiled. Her words stayed with him. They changed the way he approached the board. Instead of trying to beat Sungmin through endless work, Taehyun focused on building something meaningful. He introduced a new business initiative. It reduced unnecessary costs, improved employee efficiency, and opened a new market for the company. The results came quickly. The stock began rising. Board members who had doubted him started supporting him. Director Choi's attempts to undermine the project were eventually exposed when Taehyun presented the access records and other evidence to the company's compliance department. Taehyun didn't humiliate him. He simply allowed the company to handle the matter properly. For the first time, Taehyun didn't need to destroy himself to win. He had learned to think clearly. And Tiana's words had helped him realize that. The final board meeting arrived. Taehyun presented the results of his initiative. The company's stock had increased. New partnerships had been secured. Employee efficiency had improved. The board members discussed the results. One by one, they supported him. Not because his father ordered them to, because Taehyun had convinced them. Sungmin sat quietly. For the first time, the room wasn't simply looking at Taehyun as the chairman's son. They were looking at him as a leader. His father finally stood. You have proven yourself. He looked around the room. From this day forward, Taehyun will lead Kangseong Group. The room filled with applause. Taehyun remained still. For years, he had imagined this moment. But the feeling wasn't what he expected. He thought about his mother. Then he thought about Tiana, the woman who had accidentally complained about him, the woman who had forced him to look at himself, the woman who had dragged him out of his office to eat, the woman who had reminded him that resting didn't mean failing. He realized something. For years, he had been terrified of losing the company. Now there was something else he was afraid of losing. Her. That evening, he found Tiana in her office. She looked up. Sir. He smiled. I won. Her face lit up. You did. He nodded. I knew you would. He looked at her for a moment. Tiana. Yes. There is something I need to tell you. She became serious. I spent a long time telling myself that what I felt was nothing. Her heart began beating faster. That I was only comfortable around you because we worked together. He took a breath. I was lying. Tiana stared at him. Somewhere along the way, you became the person I look for when I walk into a room. She didn't speak. You became the person whose opinion I care about. He smiled softly. And somehow, the woman who accidentally complained about me became the person I don't want to lose. Tiana's eyes softened. Taehyun, I know you're my secretary. I know. And I know this isn't simple. No. But I don't want to lie to myself anymore. Tiana smiled. You know what Yuna told me? What? That I was in love with you. His eyebrows lifted. And I told her it was impossible. Was she right? Tiana looked at him. Yes. For once. Taehyun didn't hide his smile. Neither did Tiana. He reached for her hand. There was no rush, no grand gesture, just a quiet moment between two people who had slowly become important to each other. Their story had started with a mistake, a complaint sent to the wrong person. But the message wasn't what made them fall in love. It simply opened a door. Taehyun learned that success wasn't worth destroying himself for. Tiana learned that she didn't have to carry every burden alone. He learned that resting wasn't weakness. She learned that speaking honestly didn't always lead to rejection. And both learned that love didn't have to arrive dramatically. Sometimes it grew quietly, through conversations, through laughter, through ordinary meals, through difficult truths, and through someone reminding you that you didn't have to face everything alone. The accidental message started their story, but they chose how it ended. And this time, neither of them was afraid to choose. And that was how one accidental message changed everything between Tiana and Taehyun. But what do you think?
Do you think Tiana and Taehyun were truly meant to be together? Or should she have kept her feelings to herself because he was her CEO?
Tell me your thoughts in the comments.
If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next story. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for watching. Bye.